Sir, first of all, welcome to Telugu industry, sir. It's a grand welcome. We are hoping. Anyway, we are all thrilled and excited to have you here on stage. And I'm sure everybody knows his filmography and the scale of the films he did. Sir, first I would like to ask you, what is that pivotal phase in your life that you have decided that you should become the DOP? Like, what is that epiphany moment? Okay, I discovered, okay, I'm an artist.
I don't think there was one particular decisive moment. I think it was.
Okay.
I think there was a desire to make images.
Okay.
That was, and tell my story through images. That was always a desire. From my childhood, I would always try that, and the only way you could do that was trying to paint or try to sketch or something.
Okay.
And I was not good at that.
Okay. Okay.
So there were a lot of images in my mind which I wanted to make, but I didn't have the craft to create them.
Right.
So I think once I got my hands on my camera, there used to be a family camera which was used in holidays.
Right.
Agfa Click 3.
Right.
So once I was a little older, I got access to that. I think that was something that I realized that I enjoyed doing, and I could, and luckily for me, my father spotted that interest in me, and he gifted me a camera.
Fantastic.
He gifted me a SLR. It was a Russian camera called Zenith.
Oh, nice.
So, and I was I think in class 8 or something.
Nice.
When
that is one phase.
So yeah, so then I started taking pictures. That's something I really used to enjoy. Taking my own pictures. It could be any image, but there's a fact that I could, shoot it my way. I could, that was really
nice,
exciting. But I think the defining moment was I was studying engineering.
Okay.
And in RE College Nagpur, I was like there for about 7-8 months, and that's the time that I realized that I don't want to become an engineer.
Okay.
So when I left that and I came back home, I was very scared to do that because
right.
It was coming from a middle class family. Engineering degree means a definite job, which
right.
was what was very valuable at that point of time.
Right.
So I was scared to come back home and face my elders.
Right.
He asked me a very important question. He asked me, okay, if you don't enjoy doing this, is there something that you enjoy? You should do that.
Right.
So I said, I like taking pictures. So my father said, yeah, become a photographer. So
that's amazing, sir. How do you come up with a visual style when you are approaching the film? Like, the answer would be like, collecting references or like, inspiring from movies. But other than this, what is it something that only you do but nobody else does?
I think it's something that everyone does. I don't particularly do a reference for a movie.
Okay.
In the sense that I think we are forming an image bank in our head all the time. Like even now, when I'm looking at this visual, there's an audience, there's a backlight on them, there's some light on them, and so this image is somewhere stored in my mind. All
right.
the visuals that I see on an everyday life,
right.
Movies that we watch,
right.
still photographs that you watch, a feeling that you generate when you're listening to a piece of music,
right.
or reading some literature, or just a conversation,
right.
anything, these emotions. So these are, I think, these visuals, this music, these emotions, these kind of form a kind of a bank in your mind.
Right.
And I think when I read a script, I'm influenced by all these
images,
the sounds, these emotions, everything kind of, and I see the image that's described in the script in my own way.
Nice.
So, and I kind of follow that. I mean, that's my reference. Also, that evolves. That is not something that's fixed. That's when I go to the set, I talk to the director, I see the actor performing, I see the set, you kind of, it evolves.
It evolves in a spontaneous way. It evolves.
Yeah. I mean, ideally,
that is amazing, sir.
And that happens if you're given the ideal situation where you can, you can create what's in your mind, where you're not influenced by other factors. That, this particular actor needs to be lit in this way.
Right. So to put it this way, simply, so observation is the key.
Absolutely.
Observation.
Absolutely.
Like in one of your interviews, I noticed you used the word human tourism.
Oh.
Can you elaborate on that? I mean, it's an interesting choice of word.
Human tourism. I love talking to people. I love just knowing about their life. It fascinates me because everyone has such different, unique stories. And I'd like to see a place like tourism is that's a fun thing that we all enjoy.
Right.
I also love
the idea of getting to know it.
Yeah, just touring somebody's mind. It's I think the landscape of a human being. I think that's fascinating, and
absolutely
we get to know so much. And then it's. I just enjoy collecting all the stories.
Nice, sir. Very good answer. Now, since you mentioned about stories, I know we all know that empathy plays a big role when it comes to a writer when he wants to write a story. How important it is for a DP to have empathy when reading scripts.
It's very important. I think it's the unless you have that empathy, you will not be able to bring a human quality to that character, and that empathy should be there for, I think, even the negative characters. It's very interesting what you ask, because I one of my most exciting experiences was shooting Alauddin Khilji in Padmavat.
Exactly.
Because I thought that was such a badass character, but when you try to find the nuances of humanity and humanness in the most badass characters, that can be very fascinating, very exciting, and at the same time, that's I think the audience can relate to that a lot more. So when you're shooting a performance like that, to be on the lookout for which is that one minuscule tender moment, and how can you bring that out? Is there something that you can do? Is there a camera placement? Is there a positioning of an highlight?
Right.
Or you suddenly you nuance your lighting in a certain way that that's coming out.
Right.
I think that's. Thank you for asking me. That's a.
Yeah. Again, I said I watched one of your
pertinent question.
Right, because you mentioned about that cinematographers need to have a good sense of music, like in one of your earlier interviews. So based on that, I thought even when we are reading scripts, we need to have a certain level of empathy, be it the positive character or the negative character.
Music, I think we are essentially composing all the time. We are composing elements in the frame. We are composing with lighting. Music kind of influences you with that. That I think that if you, I mean that's happened to me. I listen to a lot of music, and it's kind of what do you call sur and tal. These are two things that if you imbibe in yourself, I believe it influences you
a lot
in a musical way.
And all your choices will also.
Yeah, I genuinely also believe that how musicians have the seven, the sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa.
Right.
Swaras. Yeah.
Swaras.
We have the between black and white, we have various shades of grey, and they are our swaras.
Right.
And we compose a frame with those swaras, exactly how a musician will compose his rag with combinations of these
exactly. Right. So moving on to another question. This is a very specific question, sir. I'm sure everybody here who is an artist, I'm sure everybody here is an artist, though we are all cinematographers, we can call ourselves as artists also. And as an artist, we all wanted to have a personal style for ourselves. So, as a DP, how do we align our personal style with the style of the story or with the director's vision?
I don't think as a cinematographer you should have a personal style.
Okay.
I think the style should come completely from the script, from the director's vision. I mean, then personal, I think you should go and direct. Then, as a director of photography, your job is to serve the script and the director's vision.
Of course.
Personal style will
influence.
Will come in some point, but that's personal style. I don't think it's very image specific. I think it's what you said earlier about humanity.
Right.
That I think your humanity will come in some way.
So eventually the style will come from the script itself.
I think so. I think that's
okay.
The way it should be.
Right. Of course, the style should not dominate the substance.
Absolutely.
It's the substance that drives the film, and obviously the style will fall in place.
Yeah.
The style should be like a stone in the shoe.
I try very hard to make sure that my films don't look like each other.
Of course, of course. Yeah. This is just like a general question, sir. General, not related to script or anything. Do you like imperfection or perfection?
Wow. I think we all. I think. Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's. We all try to achieve perfection, but I think life is so imperfect that that's the beauty of it.
Right.
And it's.
Right. Do you agree? Do you agree to this statement? Perfection is unreal and imperfection is real.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. So, is a perfect frame pre-planned or discovered?
For me, it's discovered.
Fantastic.
I try to be planned. I go to set with things in my mind. I tell everybody I have to be organized and like. But things change. Sometimes the director changes, sometimes I change.
Right.
And it's great fun actually.
Right.
I get very bored by, one thing that bores me is storyboards. And it's just, and sometimes what happens is you have a storyboard and you have to, I tell my assistants that, mark the camera position and we have to come and do exactly this and all that. And when they're doing the tape and all, it really irritates me.
Right.
It's like, why? Let's figure out.
Yes, sir. Let's say a director asks a certain angle on the actor, and because he's feeling like, okay, he wants to capture the eye drop in a very wide angle lens, and you feel like that is like the worst angle for that actor. How do you communicate to the director? How do you balance that situation?
See, it depends on the relationship with the director, and today, thankfully, I'm in a position where I can choose to work with directors with whom I see that relationship happening. Earlier in my life, and we cinematographers, we do one film at a time, and I don't do anything else for a living. I do only cinematography. So all the time, particularly earlier in your career, you don't get the choice of choosing.
Right.
You have to do, one film gets over, you have to look for another film. Right. And you have to do that, and a lot of times you don't get to choose. And I've had experiences of working with directors with whom you don't.
You have a choice that.
Yeah, you don't really agree.
Right.
Well, you try to convince, but at the same time, I've realized that a lot is on the director's mind. I mean, you can. The best thing is if you can be a friend to him. There's a lot going on in his mind. A director has tremendous responsibilities.
Right.
He's under tremendous stress. So if you think that what he's saying is not aesthetic enough, or
right.
not, you try and convince him, but
you try and educate him.
Yeah.
But where do you draw
but
the
at the
line?
same time. Now I realize that there's a lot going on his mind, so be kind to him.
So be kind to the director.
Yeah.
So the DP doesn't need to be mean or show any sort of idiosyncrasy at the director. Okay.
You have to be smart about it. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Sometimes you choose the right moment to tell that.
Exactly. Exactly.
You you distract him in some way, and like there are various techniques.
There are various techniques. Like you might say something and then you carefully move the camera angle back and convince
you say things that he likes, and you kind of manipulate that a little bit and kind of mildly put your point.
Right. Which one do you prefer to shoot, cityscapes or landscapes?
Cityscapes or landscapes?
Cityscapes or landscapes. Let's say like New York City, like Manhattan River, like a nice tall buildings, or a nice landscape, like a hilly landscape.
No, for me, I no such choice.
No such choice. Like which one?
I mean, depends on the story that I'm telling.
No, sir. I understand. Like without, let's say you don't have any story. Just like your personal choice.
My personal choice comes out in the still photography that I do. I do a lot of still photography, and that's where I use my personal choice. I like doing everything actually. My most favorite is first my own still photography is street portraiture. I like doing portraits of people on the street.
Okay.
I kind of get stories. I mean, just I look at somebody and I imagine stories.
Right.
And it's something. Right. I just like to roam around the streets with my camera.
Cool. Do you prefer natural light or artificial light?
Artificial light. Period.
Why?
I can control it. Natural light is great. I mean, of course, we can't mimic natural light. It's magical that we can never create. So, but I'm saying artificial light because most of the times we are working in conditions where you're struggling to particularly daylight.
Right.
To capture. The actor comes late. The junior artists are not ready, and we've had these situations.
There's so many practical.
Yeah. So I mean, if I can completely control the lighting, it's more convenient. But yeah, but the joy of capturing natural light is unparalleled. If you can,
of course. So when you are, let's say, when you created a scene under artificial light, and you know that you wanted that image to look real, would you go and do a recce in terms of how would the same image look in natural light?
No, see, I don't need to do that. But
Okay.
the problem about creating artificial light on a set is, initially what happens is that people get excited by people on set. They get excited by the fact that it looks like real light, that it looks like real, and because a lot of times people don't believe that it can be done.
Right, of course.
That say creating a daylight exterior scene on a big set is possible, and we've done that, and people get very excited that oh wow, it's looking like daylight. Now, the thing is. People will not, the audience will not know that you've creating it artificially or it's natural. So there's no pat on your back for creating realistic daylight.
Right.
It's a normal image. So then you have to question yourself that okay, this is great, this looks real, but real is boring, right?
Of course.
So I can now make it a little spectacular because I can.
Right.
I can actually position the sun a little lower. I can make the sunlight warmer. I can actually tweak and make the ambient a little colder. I can do all these things. If I can put in a little green in the shadows.
Right.
These are things I can do since I'm creating it. And the lure of creating a spectacular image.
Right.
And something that looks beautiful, that you can fall in the trap of that becoming unreal.
Right.
Yeah, and being unrelatable. So it's an interesting conversation with yourself that how far do you push that?
Exactly.
Of course, you can create things artificially and you can. But how far would you go?
Right. Of course. Because ultimately we want the image to look real.
Yeah.
And still look and balance it out with being still spectacle. Right. So. Now we have so much exposure towards Hollywood films, like even not just the filmmakers, but even the audience. From a filmmaking point of view, what is that one difference, the huge difference that you see in Hollywood films and Indian cinema, especially in the aspect of cinematography? It could be exposure, lighting, I mean, they both are same. The composition, the camera movement, how it is being treated.
I don't think there's much of a difference in terms of talent no way. The only difference that comes is probably in VFX. The amount of seriousness that's given to VFX, they take the VFX very seriously. I think that's what makes the difference.
Of course.
What is that one advice that you give to all of those budding cinematographers over here, that where should they begin and what is the right way, what is the right path?
Firstly, I would say that, throw away your memory card. The infinite images that you can shoot, because of digital technology today, we can just shoot. If we don't like it, we delete it, and we have a lot of space on our hard drives. That is something we should value. Every time you're picking up the camera to shoot a picture, you should think like how we used to think that, okay, I've got a film roll with 36 exposures, and they're expensive, and I can't delete them. So the value every time you pick up the camera to take a picture, think about why you want to take it. Is this the best way to shoot it? Or maybe if you move a little there and look at it in a different angle. That value, if we give every frame, I think that will be great.
Tell me something very, very special about this one film that we have fallen in love again and again after Padmavat and Bajirao. Guzarish to humne, we are all fans of it. But to tell us something about Gangubai and some challenges that you have faced with.
Which one?
The Gangubai.
Gangubai,
yeah.
okay.
Because after Padmavat and Bajirao Mastani, now we want to become Gangubai, and you see everyone of all age groups, you have Gangubai in every street. So.
I don't know about specifically what to say.
And you have worked with one of the legendary most pride of Indian cinema, Sanjay Leela Bhansali sir. I think you should tell the experiences of working with him as well, because we have been brought up seeing all those movies and stuff.
I mean, it will be very difficult to. If you ask me specific questions, I can say I'm not a great talker. I mean, he's Bhansali. He's. I was very fortunate to work with him because he's somebody who really pushes you to beyond your limits. And that's that continuous. I have imbibed that from him. Continuously pushing yourself to get better, to look at every frame and question: is it good enough? That every time you put a camera and you put a frame and to pursue that questioning, even after that shot is over. That have I done? Is this my best, or can I do better? That I've not seen another human being who pursues excellence with that kind of madness. And that is a process that starts at the pre-production, at the time of shooting, and that relentless self-criticism that happens during the DI, after watching the film, years after the film is released. That is something that pursuit of that chasing that excellence and creating something that will be remembered. I mean, that's something I have not seen another filmmaker with whom I have worked. And
as a cinematographer in your entire journey, what do you think are the toughest challenges that they all should be ready in the future?
No, it's not been a tough journey. No, because this is my hobby, and I practice my hobby and get paid for it. So.
What an answer! That's $1 million answer from a passionate individual. Thank you so much. Yes,
I hope there are no producers here.
So in his before answer, he used the word self-criticism. That is the key word that I can take. Everybody pursues for excellence. Everybody will be relentless for getting the good quality. But self-criticism is the key. What is the process for self-criticism, sir? It goes so much in our head, self-assessment, self-criticism. Where do you draw the line? If you overthink too much and say, am I thinking too much? Where do you draw the line and cross over? Okay, this is good. I should go
it's an interesting question. If you let me, I'll keep lighting the shot forever.
Right.
I will finish lighting, and then I think, no, I think this is better. And if you give me the choice, I will. But cinema is not that. It's not just it's not a drawing room art. It's not something that a painter has that privilege. Right. Cinema is a very commercial medium art, right? Where somebody is paying for your hobby. Right. Right. So you have to be cognizant of that. You have to be aware of that, and you have to draw that line somewhere. That okay, this film needs to be shot in this many days. Hence, this shot we can allocate this much time. Right. So that sense of judgment you must have. That okay, this is good. This is it. We stop here, but that shouldn't stop your process of. My assistants know that I kind of I go back to the set. When I go to the set in the morning, I have a habit of watching my rushes of the previous day, right. And I just go through it, and I kind of with my assistants, I talk to them, and I always have that conversation that did we do a good job? Did we go do it? Because I continuously and that kind of process is it stimulates me to work harder. Right. And you look out for the mistakes. Right. There are so many people to say that you've done a great job. Right. There are very few people who can actually criticize you. Right. And you can be having a healthy critique around us. Yeah, would really push us. It's not a good feeling, but when you look at your mistakes and you kind of feel how mediocre you are, and it's not a good feeling. But right. How instinctive are you? I'm very instinctive. So when would you cross that pre-production game and let your instincts take over? I do that all the time. Like every moment? Yeah, absolutely. Because it will be very boring otherwise. Of course.
I just want to ask you, what is your prep? How do you prep for a project? Do you have a fixed, sequence of preparation? I'll tell you about the ideal situation. I spend a lot of time with the director. Like in Recce's, you get to travel with the director. It's great to spend time and talk about not just the film, about him as a person, the kind of stuff that he likes. I observe the director a lot. Even how he eats his food, how he speaks to his wife on the phone. A lot of that kind of gives me an insight about his personality, and that's understanding that is very important to me. Becoming a friend to the director is very important to me. Those relationships are very important. The relationship you have with the assistant directors, with the production designer, the art assistants, of course with your team, because eventually the work will be done by the people. You're only going to be giving commands. So that's very important. Understanding, of course, the obvious that the art and costume are going to be occupying a large part of your set. So I give a lot of importance to that. Get involved in art, costume. I go to crazy lengths of, even with every junior artist's costume, I kind of make sure that the textile, the exact even threads and everything is to my liking, because and you have to also form that relationship with the costume designer, that that this is something not going to be seen in your naked eyes. It's something is going to be seen in the way you're lighting. So and kind of I keep reading the script over and over again, and kind of memorize it, because I'm asking this because it can be a good guide to upcoming DOPs or cinematographers. Do you take any tangible preparation, like taking notes, making references, choosing colors, and do you create a kind of a tangible set of events that will prepare you for the project, like deciding on the color palette,
of course,
and then deciding on the lighting pattern, and then deciding on how you're going to go about executing your shots, what kind of lenses you use, what kind of camera you want to use, what formats you want to decide upon.
this will help the upcoming people
Yeah,
deciding.
I write a lot of notes on my script. On the physical script, write a lot of notes. I write them in pencil because they keep changing. Your approach to a scene changes. So forming a palette is very important because it's also very important to communicate that with the entire team because what's on your mind.
I mean, can you give any tips, for any prep for the, the audience here, like tricks that you might learned? I mean, sometimes you develop an understanding, which will help you in creating a better image, or tell the story in a more impactful way. Can you give some tips? I just want to pick your mind,
I mean, we have the process has been different for films with filmmakers. I mean, we've tried, particularly with Sanjay Bansali, I've done that, creating a kind of a lookbook. When you read a scene, what about the images come to your mind from still photographs, from paintings, from grabs from other films, and you show it to him, and but that's something. That's a process I've got really bored of.
Yeah, it's because still you have to go through that. No, it's a very boring process.
I don't enjoy that anymore.
Every movie you have to go through that process.
Yeah.
But still you have to go through that. Yeah. And what do you advise the learners about the post-production process? What is it
you have to be very, very aware of it, because in the whole chain you should be the most knowledgeable person. Otherwise you will not be able to control the image. The image is in so many people's hand. Today, the controlling the image. Previously, it was you and the colorist on the analyzer in the film days. But today, so many people have access to the image that you really, really must know the image. You must dive deep into the technology to understand how image is processed, how it's created, and what is happening in the in DI, what's happening in the VFX pipeline, you have to be really, really aware of it. Otherwise, I would advise everyone to read up and really understand the technology.
What are the skill sets that you advise the people to have, to actually become a good cinematographer?
I think people should read a lot of books.
One last question on behalf of the audience, sir. Yes, I'm going to give. Would you prefer the director to have the shot design done by himself, or would you like for him to collaborate with you?
I would like him to collaborate with me, but sometimes they have it's okay. I mean, the director can have his own vision and
right, let's say you go back to Orson Welles or Stanley Kubrick or Alfred Hitchcock, where they make the shot design by themselves and they come onto the set, they discuss the shot design with the DPs like Citizen Kane or Space Odyssey, where he controls the entire shot, including the angle, including the lens, everything, the placement, everything, the movement. In that situation, what would be the DP's contribution? Let's say Stanley Kubrick traveled forward in time and he wants to work with you. Would you still be interested in working with
absolutely,
that?
Absolutely. I would learn so much.
I'm sure.
My name is K.L. Prasad. Basically, I'm a writer, film writer. One question I want to know, sir. Supposing you have done a fantastic shot, the director is very much satisfied, but you are not. You wanted to reshoot. Has it happened in your life?
It's happened. It's happened.
Can we know it, sir?
I can tell you one incident. It was the first day's work of in Bajirao Mastani. We were shooting a scene with Priyanka Chopra in the Kashi's room, and I had lit the scene, and I had some notions about how I would shoot the film, and I had shot the scene, and I was already committed to a kind of lighting because I had lit up the day before and we were shooting, and as the day progressed, I knew that I was wrong. It was just not working for me. But at the time you're already in the flow, and we finished shooting. We managed to take some 5-6 shots, and I was tremendously unhappy. I knew that this can't be the style, this can't be the approach, and I tried communicating that to the director, but of course he's in his thoughts, and it was not. Obviously, he didn't have the temperament to listen to me at that point of time. It's day one of shoot, and I tried calling him up after pack up, and I was like just so unhappy. I called him up and I told him that I don't think I did a good job, and he was like extremely dismissive. He was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So I tried it again next morning, and then before going to set, I called him up, and then once we reached set, I had a chat with him. I said, Sanjay, this is not, and I'm going to suffer through the film, and please let me do. So he was like, he couldn't believe that I was saying this. He said, what do you want to do? Like, you want to shoot the entire day's work again? And I said, yeah, if you let me just show you one shot, how I should light up. And he was, I think, more shocked than anything else. And, but he, I think out of shock, he just said that he kind of gave up. I don't know. He said, I'll give you half an hour, just do, what are you talking about? And he sat next to me on the monitor, and I started making some changes, and I did it a lot more simply. And he looked at it and he said, why didn't you do it yesterday? It's just beautiful. And this is lovely. I love this. And we went with that. So this has happened.
Yeah, thank you.
Just that I think if you're really unhappy, you should you should communicate that. And if you have a director who's with whom you have that relationship, that you are working for the film, you're not working for anything else. You're just serving the script, and you're like a parent to the film. That your affection and your is like that genuine that you'll have for your own kid.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. You have reminded me of Sanuk's discussion and argument with Tarkovsky for Sacrifice final scene.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wonderful, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And have you ever felt a big challenge for the director's demand of particular shot?
Yeah, quite a few times.
Yes.
Quite a few times.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes they would ask something that's. But it's great to have, to be challenged, So when
Yeah. And another thing you were telling that you go through the script many times. What if the director refuses to give the script to you?
Oh, I would not do that film.
सर एक्चुअली मैं 360 डिग्रीज की फिल्म निकाल रहा हूँ, कोशिश कर रहा हूँ निकालने के लिए. सो यहाँ पे शॉर्ट कंपोजिशन, क्लोज मिड शॉट सब करना है, या 360 डिग्रीज का सब सारा वाइड लेना है?
Actually, I'm sorry, I don't know that technology well. With the 360, this experience that you're talking about, that's really not my area of specialization. I largely shoot and think in terms of a film screen that you go to the theater and watch. So, मेरा experience नहीं है, sorry.
Yes sir, thank you. Okay sir.
Thanks for coming to Tollywood. So we all know that you are going to work with Hanu and Prabhas. So I just want to ask a technical question. So since you said that if you don't read the script, I will not accept the film. So I'm assuming that you have read the script. So what kind of camera or the lens that you're going to pick for the film?
It's in production, so I wouldn't like to give out any details. I am pursuing a certain image quality in the way I'm shooting. This camera has few features, that lens has a few features, you pick and choose. It's really not that important to me. I'm using multiple cameras and multiple lenses based on the scene.
Hello, sir. Yeah, my question is a bit off all this. Like, it's like, how is your experience of shooting a song? And how is it different for you for shooting a song than a scene in his films, like Sir Bansali sir's films?
Shooting a song with Mr. Bansali is very different because he's still the director on a song. With a lot of other films, what happens is the director is kind of becomes absent and the choreographer takes up. And he's practically, the choreographer is I'm not very comfortable with that situation because, you know, you have a relationship with the director, you know his vision, and suddenly for the song, another person comes and starts directing. It's kind of weird. But that doesn't happen on Sanjay's film. A lot of directors I really enjoy when the director is as involved with the songs as the scenes, because you know, otherwise the song kind of becomes, I don't enjoy that when it's not a part of the film.
Sir, my question is like for filmmakers, for aspiring filmmakers, cinematographers, we don't have budget to have good light, to buy lighting, sir. So what do you give advice for people who are like using natural light to shoot, to get the cinematic shot? Because we won't have budget for buy artificial lights for, like, you know, backlight or spotlights. We won't have budget to buy them. So what's your advice on, like, to get the cinematic shot using natural lights, or like, you know, shot like?
I mean, when you're using natural light, then, you know, then you have to use natural light. So then you have to. What is very important is choosing the right time of the day. So I think your recce is very important. You go and spend an entire day at the location to see how it behaves in natural light. I mean that. You know, probably take still photographs of how light is rendering at various times of the day.
It's like, for suppose for tube light is facing this side, but you know that it's just an electric correction. You can't change it to other side, no, sir. But so how do you manage to get the correct shot? Because
then you kind of stage your scene in that way, no? Then you kind of talk to the director and make it work in that. I know, okay, suppose you're shooting here and that light is coming here, and you know, if you shoot this way, it'll look flat. If you shoot this way, with that light, you'll get a backlight, and you want a backlight. So stage the scene that way, that you have to talk to the director to make it work. And, you know, the staging is very important. Even on a, that doesn't happen only on small budget films, even on big budget films where you're creating a set. That's something that you always have to do. You have to think of the scene, the way it'll play out, where you're putting actors. Even when you're putting up a set, you have to say that, okay, I want my windows here, or, you know, you have to. I mean, that's what you're talking about. That is a practice that you have to have all the time.
आप उस सिचुएशन को कैसे देखते हो जब डायरेक्टर और प्रोड्यूसर एपी दोनों परेशान हो जाते हैं कि यार डीओपी बहुत टाइम ले रहा है, जिसकी वजह से शेड्यूल भी आगे पीछे होता जा रहा है, तो उसको आप कैसे देखते हो भाई? इसको मतलब ये तो टाइम मैं लूँगा ही, या फिर और इसका कोई अल्टरनेट भी है कि डायरेक्टर को और प्रोड्यूसर को या एपी को बोले भाई?
No, I mean, you have to prepare them. I think you have to tell them in advance how much time you're going to take, and I mean, try not to cross that time. You can, of course, it happens all the time that, you know, you've said कि अच्छा ये lighting करने में I'll take 1 hour, but वो 1 घंटा में हुआ नहीं. You've changed your mind, and you be honest about it and try to, you know, buy some extra time, or you kind of distract people. You do stuff like you find out a fault in the actor's makeup and send him back to the van and buy half an hour.
Nowadays, in the movie, VFX become major part of the movie, right? And we all know somewhere we are lagging behind when we compare to Hollywood movies. What is the role of DOP in the betterment of the VFX in Indian cinema?
Oh, it's a very important question. I think the role of DOP is tremendous. I mean, like, eventually, if you think about what your job is, you're the director of photography. You're the one who's creating the images, the one who's responsible for the image. And you have to be aware that, you know, you've, suppose, you know, this is a frame and you have 70% of that frame or 80% of the frame is the real set. And maybe 20-30% is an extension. And it's something that VFX is going to do. That 20%, if that doesn't come out well, is going to ruin your 80% good work. So that is as much your responsibility as it's yours. So your participation has to be as much as your participation on set. So I just park myself in the VFX studio when the stuff is being done. Simple things like you have to add a sky and add some clouds. So you can't leave it to the VFX artist if you really care about the image that, you know, okay, just add a cloud. Now, he will not know what is the shape of the cloud, how that cloud needs to be lit, how it has to match with the, carry your vision through, you have to be there, speak to them and, guide them, particularly in the lighting part of VFX. I mean, it's exactly how, and today we are doing work which is so much, this integration of so much VFX that your involvement on an aesthetic level has to be as much as you're on the shoot.
How you adapt the tone, like it is when compared to Padmavati, if you take Padmavati, it is a warmish kind of tone. Or coming to Gangubai Kathiawadi, it is complete refined look of like bluish after winter and between the rainy and winter kind of look, like white and some bluish tones. And what do you, like how you prepare like during the pre-production time, and how you prepare the look, the tonal, final tone of the film?
I mean, all that comes from the time you spent with the director, what kind of vision he wants to say. For Gangubai, I realized that he was really telling the story of a unfortunate girl who became a prostitute and what she did with her life. He was looking at more like a fairy tale. It was just like that's how he was approaching it, and I wanted to shoot it like. In a very unfortunate situation, this protagonist is stuck, and in a very horrible, but somewhere her spirit, her soul remained very pure. It was a story of that's what came across to me, that it was a story of a person who didn't give up, that inherent humanity didn't, fade away, and there was something extremely pure and kind about Gangubai's character. And so we kept working on what would be the best way to narrate that. And I think that was the vision that we had in mind. And, that she remained white and she remained very pure. And nothing could tarnish her. And with that in mind, we approached the film and everything kind of fell in place. And our decisions were guided by that vision. So I mean that's what happens on every film. Even the one that I'm doing now, there is a vision, there is a story that is, and you kind of decide things organically if you believe in the story and if you're interested in telling the story that way.
Can you tell me about your gaffer, like how you prepare before
with my gaffer?
Gaffer.
Oh, I have a very special relationship with my gaffer. He's somebody, his name is Sham Shukla, and he's somebody who's been working with me practically for my first film. And he actually was a light boy on a film that I was an apprentice on. It was a film called 1942, A Love Story. I just passed out of FTI, and Vinod Chopra had asked me to be on the movie, and I was doing the BTS. And those days it was not very common. I think it's one of the first films that had actually a BTS person. So I was doing that and I was just hanging around on set, and he used to be a lightman. I know him from that time. So when I did my first movie, I asked him to come and join my unit, and he's been there. He's from a lightman, he became a best boy and then a gaffer. And I have a very long association with him and a very strong friendship with him. So he's completely a part of the prep that I'm doing. So he really knows what's on my mind. I mean, we know each other very well. So yeah, it's a very organic relationship. He's very, very special to me.